Well, business groups are targeting Victoria after its budget proposing tax increases for medium and large businesses and increases in property taxes. Let's go to Ross Greenwood now. He's our business editor who joins us for all the latest details. Ross, good morning to you.
Good morning.
We had Paul Guerra on the show a little bit earlier, and he has a fear that businesses may end up having to leave Victoria or do their business elsewhere because, the payroll tax, which is ultimately a penalty, isn't it, for employing people?
It's a tax on employing people, right? So now the justification of Tim Pallas is, look, the state's got a lot of debt. Yeah. We've got to try and get out of it. And basically,
mental health.
That's right. And that big business is in the best position to be able to do this. The question is whether you're really taxing the right people, and indeed whether this flies in the face of what the federal government is doing right now, trying to provide as much support to make certain the economy does not fall backwards. Now, the important aspect of this is, remember, exactly as you say, business has a choice as to where it invests. And if it has got a low taxing environment where, say, borders stay open more easily than another state where borders have stayed closed and they think that the state is basically trying to prevent them from doing business, then guess what? They will move their capital elsewhere, even if it's for a short period of time. But here's Tim Pallas, the Victorian Treasurer, justifying the reasons as to why these new taxes on properties and on payrolls have been introduced.
Many big businesses have continued to profit through the pandemic, pocketing taxpayer subsidies along the way. We're asking those businesses to help deliver a generational reform.
So the important part about that is the taxpayer incentives that have been given to business to have jobs created during the pandemic have been federal government incentives, not state government incentives.
And I was going to ask you that because, they say, the argument to the layman is, hey, we did a lot for you during the pandemic, now it's your turn to do a lot for us. But JobKeeper, that's
in Victoria's case, of course, with the borders being locked down and with the pandemic having taken off, of course, that was counterproductive to the businesses of Victoria. So as I say, this is where the argument's going to flow and float around over a very long period of time. There's no doubt.
Fair enough too. But while Victoria is raising taxes for business, Ross, the US Treasury has overnight recommended a global minimum tax rate of 15% on companies. So how's this going to work?
It's all right. So this is about the United States in particular. Now, we all know for a long, long time there's been the whole issue about multinational companies. So we've talked about Google, Facebook, Apple here, how much tax they pay. And then also there's a second part about this, and that is really just where do you want those companies to be based? You don't want to give them incentives to go to low tax environments, which they've done in the past to have their revenues going through there. And so what the US is proposing is that there be a one low global tax rate for companies around 15%. Now, it's fair to say also that in Europe, they're also talking about this, but they're talking about taxes as high as 25%. Remember, here in Australia, our corporate tax rate is 30%, and for small businesses, eventually it will be 25%. And so this notion of a global tax rate to try and make certain that companies pay their tax where they're actually domiciled and doing business, it really is a big issue. But it also comes back to the Biden government, of course, also proposing tax increases for companies and also for high net worth individuals, again, to pay for some of this $1.7 trillion that's just been handed out.
What do they think about that?
Well, of course, business is going to be saying we will go to the place where we are taxed less. And so really, while there are regimes out there that think they can attract business with very low tax rates and jobs, they'll still be out there, be it in the Netherlands, be it in Ireland, be it in other places that have used this tactic in the past to attract investment.
All right, well, one company that might be subject to that tax is that Swedish-based Oatly. For those who like oat milk lattes, the company listed on the NASDAQ overnight. Took off.
Do you know much about this company?
No, not at all. I don't do a lot of oat milk.
Have you not been to the, you've been to the cafe? They're here in Australia. So Oatly
I'm more an almond milk kind of guy.
Oh, no, I like that, exactly. Your brother's an almond. That's right, your brother's an almond grower. I know that for a fact. But if you just wander to the cafe here, you'll see Oatly will be sitting up there. So they're in Australia, but they're basically originally Swedish-based. And the whole idea of this, of course, is cows' emissions. To stop that, plant-based milk substitutes, that's what this is all about. But they've been pretty clever about this because they've been really creative in the way in which they do it. Here's the chief executive, Tony Peterson. I think this might have been a halftime ad for the Super Bowl. Didn't quite work as well as it could have. Have a listen to this.
Wow, no cow, no, wow, no cow, no, wow.
I
You
like
that?
it.
Not
Yeah.
too many chief executives do that
No,
sort of stuff,
it's
right?
great. I mean, I'm going to go and try some because of that ad. That's
There you go.
effective
You should have a go at
advertising
that.
for me.
So, all right. So the interesting part about this, they're also very clever from a marketing point of view because they went out there and got a few celebrity type investors.
Yeah.
So Oprah.
Oh,
one of
yeah,
them.
okay.
So Natalie Portman. Another
Okay,
one.
yeah.
Jay-Z. Has
Okay.
gone in there. We like a bit of Jay-Z.
Yeah.
And so they've all jumped there. So overnight, the stock price, it's hit NASDAQ. The share price started at 17, went to 22, back to 20 at the end. And so as a result, an 18% gain for those people who jumped in there. The business worth a cool $12 billion.
Wow.
$12
whiz.
billion.
Wow. So that's pretty volatile, isn't it? That's like Bitcoin, 17 to 22, back down to 20.
First day's trading.
Well,
Pretty
not
smart.
Bitcoin at the moment, actually.
Who knew oats were worth so much?
No,
Pete?
exactly. What about Bitcoin? Where is it at today, actually?
Bitcoin.
I haven't checked.
I'm going to have a look for you.
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just gonna
it's the bottom's fallen
do
out.
you
of
like
it, though.
US or Aussie dollars?
Well, it just goes by US, isn't it? Was
US.
30 odd?
40,000.
40, okay.
It's jumped overnight, up
Yeah.
by 5%.
Yeah, okay.
So some of those losses.
Well, there's been some panic selling. I don't have any Bitcoin, but...
I know, but you're the sort of person who says, they've dropped by 40%.
I know,
I should buy some.
Yeah, you know I am. I'm waiting for it to
Like
go
millions
further.
over the world. Now it's dropped by 40%. Might be a good time. Anyway, the markets are going to be okay today.
Yeah.
The share market's going to be really strong here. Tipped to be up by 1.25% on the opening.
Okay, all right, Ross Greenwood. Across all the details as always, Ross, thanks.